It's great to be here. We were thinking at the beginning of the, when we heard about the accident on the bypass, that there would be nobody here. I think Connor put the estimate at 20, and that was optimistic, but it's good to see you all. Really good. Just following on a bit from what, sorry, Paula, can I get that water? Sorry. What Pastor Glenn was saying, I'm really hoping and praying that it's nearer the 6 weeks and not the 12 weeks recovery. I think we should really pray for that. And just to give you some practical bits about Heart for the House, if you pay online, which most of you do, which is great, you can just do that as well for Heart for the House, as long as you put a wee thing saying H4H or something like that. If you want to put cash or a cheque in an envelope, then the envelopes are in the foyer, and make sure you write Heart for the House on the top of that. And if you've forgotten, then, and you don't want to do it online, then there are some pledge forms out there with sort of an IOU, and you can fill that in and put it again in one of the black boxes. So, hi to everybody on live stream. I'm thinking there must be a few more this week than there is generally. I was thinking about you this morning, the people online, and I was thinking, I must say, if you're anywhere near, I know today's a bit exceptional with the marathon and everything, but if you're normally within striking distance, then please come and join us. A, we'd love to see you, and B, the atmosphere in here is amazing. Again, the worship's been great, and you'll really enjoy it if you come along. So look forward to seeing you at some point. Right, sorry, get myself sorted out here. Excuse me. Are you being sifted? Sifting. It's quite an interesting word. I remember when I used to watch my mum baking, she used to put the flour in the sieve and sieve it through like that and shake it. I don't know if you have to do that now. Not that I'm a baker, but is it easier now? You don't have to do that. Thanks, Nikki. Nikki's a baker. She'll just do that. But the word sift means to put through a sieve to remove lumps or large particles. And another definition is to examine thoroughly, to isolate that which is most important. In Luke 22 and verse 31, Jesus says, Simon, Simon, Satan has asked to sift you as wheat. But I have prayed for you, Simon, that your faith may not fail. And when you have turned back, strengthen your brothers. But he replied, Lord, I am ready to go with you to prison and to death. Jesus answered, I tell you, Peter, before the rooster crows today, you will deny 3 times that you know me. This is an interesting incident in the life of Jesus. It takes place quite near the end of his life on earth, just after what we now call the Last Supper. It was heavy on Jesus, what was in front of him, because unlike us, who don't know what lies in front of us, I mean, how many times do we say, oh, just as well, we don't know what's ahead of us? But the amazing thing is that Jesus did know what was ahead of him, and he knew it was the purpose for which he came to earth, to go to the cross, to take our sins on himself. And the disciples had been arguing about who was the greatest among them. And then Jesus said these words to Peter, Satan has asked to sift you as wheat. Satan must have thought he'd scored a bit of a victory this time. He wanted to try and stop what Jesus was doing. So he asked if he could sift Peter to see if he could destroy him. Now, Jesus could easily have said, no, this is Peter. I'm building my church on him. So no sifting. It might put him right off course. But no, Jesus knew Peter. Saw what he was, brash, impulsive, very human. But he also saw what Peter could become. In fact, would become. So Jesus said yes. And Satan was probably rubbing his hands gleefully at this point. Now, we can learn a lot from this incident. The first thing we can learn is that God is in control of the sifting process. Whatever Satan may throw at us, it's only what God allows. God didn't make a mistake with Peter. In verse 34, Jesus told Peter what he would do, deny him, which completely contradicted Peter's assertion that he was ready to go to prison and even death with Jesus. So be assured, God knew exactly what Peter was like. God knows each one of us in the same way he knew Peter. All our weaknesses and failings. In our times of being honest with ourselves, it's easy to think, God won't use me. I'm this or I'm that. But just like Jesus saw what was in Peter, he sees what's in you, and he can and he will use you. The second point is, it's not a negative process. If you feel you are being sifted, don't look at it from a negative point of view, because it probably will be unpleasant. First, realize God has allowed it. Secondly, understand that he is in control of the process. Like with Peter, God knows what is really in you, and he can look past the dross and see what is important, but it will involve sifting. And the third point I want to make is, you will survive. God knew that Peter would survive the sifting process. He wanted to isolate what was important and get rid of the dross in Peter's life. In 1 John 4:4, we read, "You, dear children, are from God and have overcome them, because the one who is in you is greater than the one who's in the world." So be assured, you will survive. God will never allow you to be tried above what you're able to bear. He knows you better than you know yourself. And Philippians 4 verse 13 says, "I have strength, for his strength empowers me." It's not in your strength, but in his. Peter, at the end of his life, is unrecognizable from what he was like when Jesus first called him to be a disciple. By allowing the sifting process, God was able to turn Peter from a leader who served into a servant who led, following Jesus' example of being a servant. Who knows what potential is inside you? Well, God does, of course. If it feels as if you're being sifted, don't reject God's sifting. It will bring you out on the other side, much nearer to the person that God really wants you to be. His dealings with us aren't some optional religious game. He's deadly serious in bringing many sons and daughters to glory, and that most definitely includes you. God bless you. I'm going to hand over to Emily now, who I'm sure is going to bring us something amazing.